Hello, hello.
Hello.
It's a warm hello, how's it, from a very wintry Cape Town, stormy day. I'm Bianca Resnekov, and I'm thrilled to be joining you today on Campus Party to pick the brilliantly creative brain of curator, design consultant, interior designer, and creative director at the Nando's Hot Young Designers Project, Tracy Lynch. Hi, Trace.
Hi, how are you, Bianca?
Fine. I know that you wear many other hats other than what I mentioned in your intro. But before we do that, just to whet everybody's appetite, let's look at the visuals of what we're going to be talking about today. If people haven't had the privilege to experience South African design via the eyes of Nando's, let's have a look at that.
So we're an entrepreneurial company. We're a company that loves South Africa. We're a company that loves the creativity that's embedded in South Africans, in all South Africans. And how to unpack this energy and put it into a meaningful commercial way.
So the Nando's Portal to Africa is an online collection of South African designed and manufactured pieces of furniture. This is a platform where global designers that create Nando's restaurants throughout the world can access South African design.
Nando's Young Hot Designers has really been something that, in my mind, has just transcended any kind of wish that I wanted. This to be more and more successful.
I always get a smile on my face when I think about Nando's and all the incredible people I've met at Nando's and who've been so incredibly supportive. Because in all honesty, having that encounter and meeting those people has changed the entire trajectory of my life. It really have, and I just got goosebumps.
Hi, Bianca.
We're back. Can you hear me? Okay, now I can hear you.
Brilliant.
Sorry about
Wonderful.
that. It is storming outside. I'm going to blame it on the weather. All right, let's go back to that question. So, how have you been managing creatively during lockdown and the social distancing bubble that you've had to work from? And have you been able to work with other designers locally during this time?
It's been a really interesting time for me, and I think for some of the designers, because a few weeks after lockdown, we realized that we'd need to do something for the Nando's restaurants in order to facilitate social distancing. So I leaped at the opportunity to initiate a range of social distancing accessories. And I called on some of our wonderful design partners to get involved and to prototype very quickly these concepts and to create the first collection. And we installed these into a Nando's, and then we shared this with the UK, and we've had wonderful response. And we've just shipped a couple of thousand pieces to the UK of these social accessories. So in a time where we were very concerned about the lack of flow and no orders and so on, we turned the situation into an opportunity. And I think that's when design is doing its thing, really.
Responding to the needs of society.
Yeah.
And have they been in use yet? Some of these social distancing screens?
So as I've said, they literally are landing in the UK as we speak, and they're going into the restaurants there. In South Africa, we have point of sale screens that have already been installed, and we will still be looking at what happens in South Africa and the other markets in the next short while, as all the countries figure out what's going to be essential. For each market is different. So in the UK, they've started making use of something that I designed called the table blocker, which is a screen which also incorporates some of our hot young designers patterns, and some of them incorporate creative blocks, which are artworks, and they basically decommission a table. So they don't actually screen you from another person, but you put them on the table, and it's an indication that you can't sit there. So if you see this image on the screen, the central red one, that has art in it, and that's basically, and it says table taken on the base of it, which means that you not to sit there. And then we worked with Urban Native on the other screens that you can see, and those are the ones you see in the image now. Those are from Dr. and Mrs. And you see a table block in the background with one of the amazing patterns from our hot young designers. So there are a couple of other items that we've created, and as the projects unfolded, here in this particular image, you see a wonderful example of a table blocker with the creative blocks. So giving the opportunity for artists to earn some money from these pieces, and then creating a very functional piece that's very beautiful. I think what's been important about this project is Nando is very passionate about South African design and about their restaurants. And we wanted to make sure that whatever we included into the restaurants for social distancing, that it was aligned aesthetically, that it was also creative and beautiful, and if possible, also fun. Because I think people that are going to come and eat in a restaurant at this time, they want to have an experience, and we wanted to be sure that their experience would be a good one.
Good and safe. I mean, there's a practical side to this, obviously. Obviously, they look like they're easy to clean. And also, there's a lot of anxiety attached with eating in a restaurant right now. So you want to feel, that you're being protected and also thought about by the establishment that you're visiting. So very clever. Let's take a few steps back let's take a decade back before you were doing this kind of work. How did you get involved in this project, the portal for South African design and creating this podium? Were you always in design?
So, yes, I've got a fine arts background. So I've always worked as a creative, and that's kind of spread into working in media. So working as a stylist and a decor editor in some of the South African publications like Elle Decoration and Vessi. And then at the same time, I was working on interior projects and always working on the creative side of interior projects. So I think that's how I built my portfolio to today, where I do work as a creative director. And I think that brings in a whole lot of the different skill sets. So the storytelling and the amplifying of messaging and setting the scene and creating experiences. All of those aspects of the work that I've done in the past have contributed to what I do today.
And then what happened when you got brought in to this project? Tell us about that aha moment.
So it was 6 years ago, and I was invited to come and have a look at a space in Johannesburg by a British girl that had come out to South Africa and was working with Nando's, and she wanted to hear my response to an opportunity. So I went up to these spaces, warehouse spaces, and had a look around, and she described, as we walked through these empty warehouse spaces, that this was going to become the heart and soul of the Nando's world, and it needed to be an extraordinary space for people to visit, but also an extraordinary space for people to work in. And it just seemed like the most extraordinary opportunity, and also very abstract at that point, because I knew about Nando's, obviously. We all love Nando's and know the brand, but I didn't know much more about their approach to interior or anything like that. What I did know was that they had the biggest collection of South African art, and that they had a strong association with the Spear Arts Trust, and that they were showcasing art. I'd actually made some paintings for the collection years and years and years ago. And yeah, funny how these things kind of go in a different route. And and so I knew about their commitment to South African art. And so that was really my starting point when I met the team. I had the opportunity to go to London and meet some of the people that have established this extraordinary brand in the UK, and chat about their approach and their thinking. And the one thing that I asked them is, well, if they are so passionate about South African art, would they not be interested in doing the same thing with South African design? And at that point, which was 6 years ago, they were very interested, but I don't think they realized the potential. And I was fortunate enough to have been working in the magazine industry. And as a stylist or a decor editor, part of the role you play is finding who's out there, what are they doing, what are they making, and showcasing them in styled shoots and sharing those products with the public. So from the work that I had been doing with various interior designers, sourcing for them, and also working with designers to make bespoke pieces, and then that opportunity, I knew very well that there were many amazing South African designers, and that we could definitely create the most incredible showcase. So I did challenge them. I said, well, let me put this to you.
You brought the brief to them, actually.
Well, I can't take credit for that, in the sense that Nando's has always been extraordinarily passionate about South Africa and amplifying South African creativity. This is very much part of their ethos, and they've been extraordinary about their dedication to this. So I really was a channel, I think.
Yes, you had your finger on the pulse.
Yes, and then in that vein, I proposed that we make the biggest showcase of South African design, and we use all their money that had been allocated to South African to furniture and fittings on only buying South African design. So they loved this and said, yes, let's do it. And
we all remember a time, this might show our age, where Nando's was leather booths and light wooden table, like veneered tables. And this is prior to Tracy getting involved. In what year did it all start changing? After World Design Capital, much later, huh?
Yes, but I think the seeds had already been planted around that time, because much work was being done in the UK to understand how to express a South African aesthetic. And that was one of the questions that I was asked when I visited, was, what do you think of what we're doing, and what would you do differently? As we walked from restaurant to restaurant, because there are many in London, to see what was being done and what did I think. And one of the things I said, which really struck me, was I think it often looks like other people's interpretation of what South Africa is about. And what I said, I want to see South Africa. And then they were, well, how would you do that? And I said, well, I would work with South African designer makers and behave more as a curator. Yes, you have to be a designer and all of those things, but that I would curate pieces to bring to the restaurant, so that it's easy to see what contemporary South Africa is about, as opposed to perhaps a sort of a mood board from somebody that thinks this is relevant now. And obviously we're very visual the way we work, and we're all seeing the amazing things. It's very easy to access what's going on in the ground, but to actually work with designers that are living in South Africa and being inspired of what's happening here on the ground and taking their heritage and turning that into furniture pieces and fittings, I felt that would be the most authentic approach. And I think that's very much Nando's. Nando's is very authentic in its voicing, and it's what we love about it. And I think that's also why this project has resonated so well in the global community and the design community.
So should we look at some of the restaurants and how Nando's responded to that ethos of, bringing South African designers into the project?
Yes. So the first few slides that we have, which is quite fun to see, is of Central Kitchen. And what you're seeing in these two slides on the screen right now is the reception area. And you see a wonderful reception desk by Dr. and Mrs. and an extraordinary light by David Cranau. And you're seeing amazing couches by Casamento. And again, in this image, you're seeing elements of the amazing art collection. There's an incredible sculpture, which looks like a dustbin and chairs. And that's a Cameron Platter sculpture and some amazing paintings in the background. And you're seeing a coffee table by Goed, and you're seeing Casamento couches that were made bespoke for us, being inspired by a tribal patterning and amazing textures and woven. And these two images are also very beautiful. Part of Central Kitchen, there's a boardroom that stretches out into the warehouse space, and it's on a second floor. And we clad this boardroom in Vogel panels, which are woven Vogel panels, and they have also become incredible pieces globally for Nando's. We use them a lot in the restaurants. They are woven in Cape Town by John and his team. They are absolutely incredible, and they're actually woven from packaging tape. So that's another amazing element of South African design. The resourcefulness of materials, which is not easy to find in many places. And I think one of the things that really sets us apart.
So in the case of the Vogel panels, were they already making those panels, or was it something that you ordered specifically for the restaurant?
See, so this is one of the fun parts about my work, and having been out there and seeing what people are doing in their studios and in their showrooms. John had this woven element on his benches, and he had one or two samples of what different weaves could look like. And then that sort of triggered this is an aha moment. Let's use this as a cladding, because it could be exceptional. And of course it was, because John is also a trained architect, and he knew how, it's one thing to be doing the woven panels, but he had to literally wrap this whole structure. And he did it impeccably. And it was really exciting to see that element of Central Kitchen come to life. And it's wonderful to see those panels now throughout the world, in New Zealand and in Australia and in the States and Chicago and in the UK. And they just are exceptionally beautiful.
Interesting. And an example there where, not only has the designer been inspired by the Nando's been inspired by the designer, but the designer has been also inspired by you. Let's talk a bit about the portal to Africa. How did it come about, and how has it opened up African design to the global community?
So it was very much, we had lots of interior designers visiting to come and see the Central Kitchen project. And immediately they started asking, where can we get these pieces? Because Nando's works with many different interior designers globally. And they all are sourcing, because each restaurant is a different expression of the Nando's aesthetic, of a Southern African aesthetic. They're always sourcing pieces. So they immediately wanted to know where they would be able to get them. And at that time, it became really obvious that an online platform to support this need for Nando's globally would be absolutely incredible. So the Nando's team and myself started working on the concept of putting together this showcase of South African design, and that is called the Portal to Africa. And that took a few years to develop. Incredible people on the Nando side and incredible partners all working together to bring this to life. But there were many aspects to this that were extremely important. So the whole design community, approaching them and seeing the interest, also understanding what it would take to get this up and running, making sure that everybody that we approached could manage the level of professionalism that they would need in order to export globally. There were lots of challenges that we had to make sure we were very thorough when we set up this platform, because there's so much that goes into creating the restaurants and then also building the confidence of the interior designers globally, that the quality of the pieces is exceptional, that we offer the service, we offer all the logistics service of getting the pieces there. It's a very, very challenging role to play. And then, of course, we realized the extraordinary need to help young designers. So this is the most extraordinary platform, and building it by finding new talent and growing the South African industry is very much at the heart of what we're wanting to achieve. And
how many designers have you got in there right now in the African portal?
There are more than 50 to 60 designers that we represent. So, and that number is growing. So I think it's, and all of those designers have several products. So there really is a massive collection.
And this is a place, it's like, it's a showroom where interior designers will be sent from all over the world to come and source for product, right?
Yes, so they will access the site, and when they go onto the site, they will see all of the products, all of the listed under lighting, and you can see in the images now there are benches and stools and servers and the woven panels. And on the portal, you see in the images now amazing pieces by David Crane on chairs and tables and cladding. Are all the dimensions and all of the costs, all of the sizes. On the image at the moment, you're seeing Dr. and Mrs. And we have quite a few of their amazing pieces that we incorporate into the Nando's world. And then there's egg design. So the portal is a showcase, but it also handles all of the information that designers need to be able to include the pieces in the restaurants. And then they create wish lists, and then they create find out whether something can be made in a certain color or a certain weave, and all of that information gets communicated. And then the Nando's team that are involved with the portal manage the whole process so that the piece is manufactured perfectly, and then it travels globally to the interior design destination, the new casa, and is installed at the right time and all of those things.
And the portal takes responsibility for the quality control and looks into the mass production of it and all that kind of thing. Are you involved?
So we are involved, absolutely, but the designers are completely in charge of the quality. We just check in, so we make sure we've seen the prototypes. We test the pieces in South African restaurants first, because it's much easier to replace a piece if something isn't working, because the restaurants are very hard-wearing places, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very pieces that go into restaurants need to be hard-wearing. So even though they look incredibly detailed, and they also function really, really well.
Got to be beautiful and tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many criteria that they need to meet. So that's extremely important to us, to make sure that whatever we ship globally is of the right quality for our Nando's, so that we can be sure that when they reach the other side and the restaurant opens, that they do their job.
What would you say is the defining feature of South African design? If ash and beechwood are the features of Scandinavian design, what is South African design becoming famous for?
I think there are a few strong character traits that make South African design extraordinary. And I think one of the things that is very special is the handmade quality. So even in this image that you're seeing now of David Cranar's extraordinary pieces, and a very conceptual one on the screen, and then the benches in the foreground and the cladding in the background.
Is that like a rocking seat? Just tell us.
Exactly. I mean, that is just obviously not a piece that would go into a Nando's, but it does express the most amazing, David's amazing ability to work with timber, and the way he fixes things, his team of people that are all very hands-on with the crafting of his amazing pieces. Another element that you see in the front and the background, the element of weaving, that's very special to South Africa. And a lot of our contemporary designers use elements of weaving, which is done by hand in their pieces, which makes really showstopper. David's benches are really well received in the Nando's world. And another aspect of South African design, which I'm very passionate about, is the sharing of heritage. A lot of our young contemporary designers, they share aspects of their heritage in the form of the design inspiration. And I think when you start seeing that coming into South African design, then you start seeing something absolutely unique and extraordinary. So the image you have on the screen that just left the screen now, but we could bring back, is of the hot young designers, the finalists from our last competition. And all of the designers here were finalists. And as you see all those hanging chairs, those are their winning patterns. And they had to tell us a story about the inspiration for their pattern, and then they had to express the pattern. And we were completely blown away by the entries, so much so that we decided we had one winner, which is a Gripper Glope, where you see him in the foreground. But we have worked with all 10 of these finalists, and we've come up with a system whereby interior designers that work on Nando's can buy license usage for these patterns. And what's amazing about the patterns, they're uniquely South African because they are inspired by the authentic experiences of these young designers and aspects of their heritage, which they are proud of and want to highlight. And I think that's another thing about South African design is the vibrancy and the multi-layers of different cultures all woven together brings something so extraordinary and unique. It really is, they stand alone, and I always feel so incredibly proud when we introduce global designers to the work of South African designers, because you can see their faces light up with, wow, this is just not like anything.
It's a unique narrative, right? That's based in craft and has its own story. Can we talk a little bit about the Young Design Hot Design competition? Because I don't want our listeners to miss out on that and the opportunities that you're offering young designers this year.
Yes, so that's also a very strong component of the Cloud platform. The Cloud platform is the public-facing platform, and it's the name that we give to our program. So the Hot Young Designers competition forms part of Cloud and the Nando's design program, and it's very focused on finding new talent. So the first winners of the Hot Young Designers competition, which was a lighting competition, was Thabisa Njo and Sam Foden. They were joint winners, and the light that Thabisa won with is the 22.02 light.
And that was at the Design in Durban, right? The most beautiful object.
Yeah. So we were extraordinarily proud of the fact that, she won the Hot Young Designers with that light, and then it went on to be nominated by the public to be the most beautiful object in South Africa, which is an extraordinary achievement. And Thabisa's gone on to do amazing things. She's only at the very beginning of her design career, but she is a force, and she is just an extraordinary ambassador to South African design. She has amplified the process of weaving, heritage weaving, and brought to life benches in collaboration with Hopelunder and Beauty from the KwaZulu-Natal weavers, which are mind-blowing. And, they really are second to none. When you see them in real life, they take your breath away. They are so, so beautiful. And I think, when you see these guys and how they work with craft and what elements they amplify we just know that we've got something extraordinary
to share with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Talking about the rest of the world, tell us a bit about how local design has been showcased at Milan Design Week in 2019, last year, and also who'll be represented in 2021.
Yes, so last year we were approached by Tabisa. She was very keen to showcase in Milan, and she was looking for a partner. And you saw on the screen just a glimpse, but hopefully bring that back, the first slide with the caravan. Yes, so this was her design. So she had this idea, she wanted to make a living space, a dwelling. And she wanted to present this particular project, which she called Sacrosanct. So we were very fortunate to partner with Tabisa to help bring this amazing showcase to life.
Is it like a living room, a pod, like a pod?
It is, and you guests could actually step inside and see amazing pieces. So what's also extraordinary about this little caravan is the panels in the front are actually beaded. So the illustrations of the landscape are beaded panels. So they are mind-blowingly beautiful. And the ones on the server at the back are actually mosaicked. So the Crocambile studio that does the beadwork and the Spear Arts Trust that does the mosaic also came on board to work with Tabisa to bring these pieces to life. And then we showcased 6 other designers in the interior space, and we had an extraordinary response. Tabisa was there, and Nkuli from the Ninevites was there, and Unpo was there, and it really was, I was lucky enough to be there to witness the response of the public to this amazing showcase. It was beautifully publicized in South Africa, in the newspapers and magazines, and I think, you know, moving forward, we are very passionate about the opportunity to showcase South African design globally, not only in the Nando's restaurants, but through other platforms. We see the platform as an ambassador to South African design.
Tell us about Clout, Tracy. I want to make sure we don't miss out on that. What is Clout? It's a magazine, right? And a book.
Yes. Clout
it's a showcase too.
Yeah, so it is actually the name we've given to the program, and it encompasses all the elements that we focus on. So it encompasses the showcasing of South African design globally. It encompasses the magazines that we use to publicize or make use of to share the stories of all our designers and the work that's being done in South Africa. And we recently published our first coffee table book as part of
We've got a visual of that, right? Of the book.
Yes, I think it'll hopefully. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the background you can see one of Tabisa and Hoatlander's amazing benches with Beauty's weaving is really special.
Where can people get this book?
So at the moment, the book has been shared with influence. There was an amazing opportunity last year for us to create the book, and we shared it with visitors to this event. We would like to share the book, but at the moment, it's not available. However, we do have our website, which is clout-sadesign.co.za. And on that website, you can access the content of the book. So that is the space where we share all of the information around what's happening on the Clout platform. So if you go to the Clout website, you'll be able to access videos that we shot around the work that our partners are doing and their teams, beautiful stories that they're telling through their design, and also images of the work that's being done. You'll be able to read their stories, and you'll also be able to see, for example, our current Hot Young Designers competition. You can find all the information on our website there so that you can click through and actually enter through that website.
Right. So the Young Designers competition, I want to lead into that now and discuss that a little bit. But first of all, the bench. Tell us about the significance of this piece of furniture in Nando's stores.
So we have a very special bench in every single Nando's store. And it's a waiting bench for people that have come through to order takeout. So we want to make sure that this piece of furniture is very special, because everything that we do, we pay lots of attention to detail. And you can see in the image of this showcase an amazing Houtlander bench, the coronation bench in the foreground, and then you see the Hot Young Designers patterns in the background. So for this particular Hot Young Designers competition, we have called it the benchmark, and we are asking young designers to design a bench for us.
But not any bench. It's got some specifics, right?
It does. So we came up with the concept, and then COVID hit, and we, as all good designers, we know we have to be resourceful. So we still want a bench, but we want to understand from our young designers how they would include social distancing on this bench. So how they would divide the bench, and how they would include an opportunity to facilitate social distancing. And then when we no longer need to social distance, that the bench can be a bench just the way you would expect to see a bench.
Should we play that video of the bench? Do we have time for that?
I think we do.
Okay. Oh.
I think we maybe have an issue there. But I think we'll hopefully see some images of it now.
Nice. But I just want to know also, how can people get involved in this competition? It's been extended because of the lockdown. Is that correct? How long have people got to enter their designs? And do they have to be established in production to enter this competition, or can they enter a sketch? How does it work?
So no, they don't have to be established designers. They can be emerging designers. They need to share their concept with us, their drawings, and they need to tell us about the inspiration for the bench. We want to be enticed by their amazing creative stories and thinking that went into creating the bench. We want to understand the materiality of the bench. What are they going to make it out of? And we want to see visuals as to how the bench has been expressed, so that we could understand what it will look like. And then we will offer the opportunity to prototype the bench. The winner's bench will be prototyped with one of our design partners. And this is a very exciting opportunity for young designers, which leads into this video that we're going to play now, because last year we had our first industry day. Clout Industry Day partnered with 100% Design, and we had an amazing response. And we had 4 winners from that platform. And one of the winners was Tracy Lynch, and he had designed the most show-stopping bench. We had the amazing opportunity to introduce him to Laurie Veed. I saw a connection between the work that Kossi was doing and the work of Laurie Veed. And they worked together on this bench, Laurie bringing his expertise in design and manufacturing, and Kossi the actual design of the Bandula bench.
How important is collaboration in design in South Africa?
I believe it's crucial in the sense that we have a lot of young designers that are amazing creatives, but they have not had the opportunity to learn the skill sets to manufacture. And we have some very established designers that are brilliant at the design side and at the manufacturing side. They're very creative, and they understand how to bring something to life in the format that is unique and powerful. And they need to be able to be creative thinkers, but they need to be very technical. They need to understand who to engage with or what machinery to work with in order to bring these very special shapes to life. And
Let's
Laurie
have a look.
Yes.
Sorry, I just don't want to. I don't want the viewers to miss out on this amazing video. Let's play the video.
I'm sure they'll play it now.
Hi, my name is Tracy Lynch. I'm a furniture and interior designer. I was born and raised in Durban, Kimosotho, the land of origin, Lesotho. I designed the bench in 2019. I was inspired by the Basotho culture because I normally visit my family in Lesotho.
Last year, we had our first Nando's Industry Day at 100% Design. And we asked young designers to submit designs for any aspect of a Nando's restaurant. Could have been a table, a chair, a bench. And one of the 4 winners was Kosi Letaba.
I firstly translated the architectural dwellings in form. Then I also had the pattern, which actually told the story of the Basotho people.
It was one of those moments that everybody in the room just kind of, had that response, that goose flesh. That was amazing.
The different visual elements in the design was the Basotho hat, which is called the mohoro, and also the horse, which is a mode of transport for the Basotho people, and actually was inspired by the landscape as well.
The collaboration process has become extremely relevant and important because the manufacture of the young designers' pieces has to be world-class. Kosi Letaba's pieces have been manufactured by V Design Studios. V Design Studios are incredibly well known for delivering extraordinary design as well as extraordinary use of materials and quality of production.
I hold this collection dear to my heart because it is who I am and where I come from. I wanted to come in the industry to represent myself and my people as well.
For this Hot Young Designers competition, benches have been chosen as the relevant piece of our Nando's interior design puzzle. We don't want young designers to be intimidated at this stage by the production aspect of the piece that they are visioning. What we're asking for is for them to share their vision. So of course, technical knowledge of how that piece would be expressed would be absolutely fantastic. But if you do have an idea and you want to express that idea in a visual and bring it to us and tell us your story, we're here and excited to hear what you want to share.
Thank you, Tracy. That was amazing. So inspiring. So if people want to enter the competition, they must go onto the website. Which website? Clout or the portal? Yeah.
.co.za, and everything is there for them. There's a banner they just click through and they will be able to enter everything from there.
Are there any other good collaborative stories that you can tell us about where people have joined together?
Yes, we have so many. I think one of the ones that immediately springs to mind is the story of Tulsha Boyson, who was she was our youngest finalist, 17 at the time when she was a finalist of the first Hot Young Designers competition. And some of the interior designers, area designers from the United States, they wanted to collaborate with a South African designer on a very special store in Chicago. And they asked me to put together some ideas around what this could be. And one of the young designers I presented was Tulsha Boyson with her concept of the can bean lights. And she was upcycling cans to create these beautiful constructions using the cans, very resourceful and very unique. And they absolutely loved it. And they then went on to initiate this collaboration. And Tulsha had the amazing opportunity to go to Chicago, and she was mentored there by Aria design team. And she had the opportunity to participate in the installation and see this amazing casa come to life. And she had the opportunity to be on news there and meet lots of interesting people and just have a whirlwind experience. She also earned a licensing fee for the project, which helped her set up her studio. So we're very passionate about the bigger picture. We're very passionate about helping young designers start their businesses, which is why we also have our business development program initiative, which is the support for young designers to participate in a year-long mentorship with our partners Enterprise Room. So there's a lot that goes into the platform. It's not just about showcasing South African design. We really want to dig deep and help the industry grow in the best way that we can by sharing all the knowledge of the Nando's business when it comes to interior and how we can facilitate growth. And of course, we're always looking for other partners to get involved with us. We'd love to also work with other industry specialists and and find amazing opportunities so that we can all work together to amplify South African design, because we believe that it is an amazing industry that has the opportunity to bring dignity, and we all know that people want optimism, they want to see beautiful things, and also people to make beautiful things with their hands and preserve our art skills.
And also to generate income. I mean, also that. So, I mean, we've seen all the beautiful installations and all the eye candy. What are the numbers and the returns since you launched the portal?
So I actually had an amazing email this morning, and we are, in the last 2.5 years since we've been operating, even more so than this slide that you're seeing on the screen, there's been in excess of 50 million rand through the portal. So you can see from this slide, amazing number of pieces, which has grown since lockdown, bizarrely, through our social distancing projects. And we are at the moment, our total revenue is more than 50 million. So it's extremely important to generate these kind of projects and to shop local.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? Shop local, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you all today at the campus party and talking to you, Tracy, Creative Director at the Nando's Project. Thank you for sharing all the amazing work that you do with South African design, and for sharing it with us on this platform and the rest of the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. If there are any final words other than shop locally that you'd like to say?
Thanks, Bianca. It's been amazing to chat and to share the story. And I really hope that everybody stays engaging with us and watching our journey and getting involved. And I think we can all, share beautiful, positive stories from South Africa. I think that's what we all want, and help create opportunities for people to make a living. Very important.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And goodbye, everybody.